Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Behind the Screens, the Crew Chronicles with Ventana Productions. With us, one of our seasoned professionals, performer, editor, and post-production manager, Charlie. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you taking the time. So let's dive right in. Why don't you tell me about one of your favorite or most memorable Ventana projects that you've worked on?
So it's funny how much you lose from the past because you're always moving on to the next project. But I think one of my favorites are these short pieces that we do for DCTV. They're called Capital Arts and District Life. They're sort of things that profile local artists in the DC area. And I just felt like really nobody's doing that type of thing. You know what I mean? Like they will profile an opera singer or a photographer. As I watch their work, the work within the work,
Yeah.
I just feel good about that because I don't know if folks like that would get any widespread attention without an outlet like DCTV.
Yeah, and we'll have to include a link below. Where is like the easiest place to watch some of these profiles of these amazing artists that you're describing?
They're just for broadcast. DCTV is like a kind of a public access thing for the Washington metropolitan area.
And for that specifically, that series, are you working primarily as a post-production manager or as an editor?
Correct. Mark Casal and Tom Nyer, super talented guys on the post-production team, are the ones who cut them, produced by Judy Plavnik at DCTV, who is just been around so long and she's so intuitive. So that's just one that was easy to remember for me because we've been doing it for almost 2 years running and they're still going. And I still love every single one that we send out.
Cool.
Yeah. And we just applied a really cool open to it, which is basically just a time lapse of this guy making a painting. And there's a really cool theme song. So it's just one of those feel good projects.
Yeah, like a human interest story. Because we do work in news a lot, so we get to share a lot of bad news sometimes. So it's nice to do a human interest story where you get to share people's talents that maybe wouldn't get broadcast otherwise.
Yeah.
So what have you learned as a editor or as a post-production manager working on this project, this series of projects for the last 2 years?
What I perceive as kind of mundane work, just processing footage and getting it out to the editors and all that stuff. So stuff that you kind of do all the time. Every once in a while, it pays off, you know what I mean? Because you put something out that you get an emotional fulfillment from. We do a lot of incredible work here, but let's face it, it's government work or for those go-between marketing firms that you really just don't have any emotional investment in. Mm-hmm. Every now and then you're like, you know what, this one, I'm glad I did all that grunt work.
Yeah, you're glad you put the work in. You feel something in return. That's really cool.
Aww. And that's why you get that's why I don't care what you do in this industry. When you first started, you think or you hope or you dream that one day you'll be doing something that is appreciated, whether it's widespread or local.
Yeah.
And every once in a while we get a gig like that around here.
Oh, that's so sweet. That makes my heart so happy.
I just got a little choked up.
Well, don't worry. We'll cut it in post. What would you say then is maybe a challenge of doing a project like that? One that you feel so connected to. What are some of the possible challenges that come with projects like that?
Oh, tech. Another project that we did for DCTV, they sent over all their footage on this, big striped hard drive. And the way the drive was formatted didn't really match up with our Macs. And at some point towards the end of the project, we lost everything. Everything.
Oh, no.
And we had to run, data recovery software to get all the editing projects back and rebuild those editing projects with replacement footage. So we had to run data recovery to find those again and then rebuild these edits So the
Crazy.
challenge is always tech. You just never know when something can go wrong with the hardware or the software, or, you know what I mean? Part of my job, as soon as I get footage in, is to back it up so that it exists
Yeah.
in two places in case of chaos. I mean, I was apoplectic just thinking we wouldn't be able to rebuild the edits. But of course, we have two very talented guys on this post-production staff,
Shout
and
out
they
to
did.
Mark and Tom
Yeah.
working
Again,
working hard.
I'm always shouting out to Mark and Tom.
Well, so you've been in post production for a while now. How has tech evolved in the last decade or so for your guys' editing processes?
That's a key question, and I would stretch that out to a little over 20 years
Okay.
because now it's all digital. You know, even big time movies are shot on digital cameras these days instead of on actual film.
Yeah.
So I know editors that used to have to literally stretch tape out and cut between frames, use like tape to tape the film together, and that's how they edited.
That's
And then, of
crazy. I
course,
can't even, as a zillennial over here, I can't even imagine doing that. That's wild.
I can't either. Like if you had, if as an editor, if you told me, hey, we've got to cut this on film, I'd be like, well, you got to find a really old person to do that. You know?
For you, like, has the softwares changed or adapted a lot in the last 10
Yeah.
years? Have they gotten smarter or more complicated to use?
No, much smarter. And now you've got AI coming in. You know, each week there's a couple of shows that I have to caption. And we used to send that work out. We used to farm it out to a captioning company. But now in a software like Adobe Premiere or Avid or, you know, DaVinci, AI is involved to where you can just take a clip or a half-hour show, I can lay it out and go into like a text feature and say, create transcript, and boom, within 15 minutes, the whole show is there in a transcript. Now, AI cannot instinctively understand every word or get, you know, every word right, especially with one of the shows. This guy has a very heavy accent. He's originally from South Africa. So a lot of the stuff he says, AI gets wrong. So I go through and I correct it in the transcript first.
Wow.
And then I just hit a button that says create captions from transcript, and boom, you know?
That's crazy.
I know.
I've noticed even with Riverside, it comes with a completely made transcript by the time we're done recording. And sometimes, like, it's a little wrong, but it's only wrong 1% to 2% of the time, which is just fascinating how fast our tech is growing. And I'm sure it saves you guys all a lot of time and energy overall.
Faster than we can learn it. Tom and Mark, they're always in Adobe, so they can take advantage of that time and learn all the new features. But I'm way behind, to be honest with you, because I'm doing a lot of administrative or, you know, prepping footage for them, and I'm not spending the time in the software to even know. Like I would be talking to Tom. I'd say, you know what? I wish Adobe could do this, and he's like, Charlie, it can do that, you know. And I have to take his word for it and go search the tool and find it and learn to use it, or just say, hey, send me an email that gives me step-by-step instructions on how to use this new tool.
How to break it down.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. I guess I'd never thought about how post-production specifically has been so drastically impacted by how much our tech has grown.
Yeah.
And I mean, for the upcoming generation of editors and post-production managers, what advice would you give those people?
Stay on top of it better than I have. Learn the skills that your crew uses to get the job done, because you never know if they're out for the day. And you need to sit and either further their edit or finish their edit.
And so it's better to learn from the get-go. What are some like basic softwares that aspiring editors could be learning in the meantime?
I was gonna knee jerk and say Adobe Premiere and all of the softwares involved in that whole suite, like Media Encoder. Well, that's one, actually, Media Encoder, so that you can convert camera media to editable media.
In the editing world, I didn't know that there's such a difference to make it.
Well, it's not that you can't edit with media straight out of a camera. You can, but how many really young, aspiring editors have computers with enough processing ability to handle 4K or 8K footage, you know, as they're sitting at their laptop in their bedroom, trying to cut their first independent short film. So what you do is you make proxies from that footage, Apple ProRes proxies or something that just has a lot less information in it. And that's what you do your edit with. And then when you want to online your final product, you take that completed timeline and convert that back to, high definition 4K or something like that, whatever you want to release it as.
Oh.
So that's a little bit of a tip on how to take high data footage and use it in the edit by sort of downgrading it.
Yeah, downgrading it temporarily so you can actually make adjustments and then exporting it at the level that you want it to be at the end.
Exactly. And then also you have to keep in mind that it's probably best to output it at regular 1920 by 1080 anyway, because, your audience will probably be an internet audience, and there's no reason why they should be looking at 8K short films, on their laptop.
Right. Yeah. Wow. See, I'm learning a lot from the editing side just right here, right now. But I want to take a quick pivot, if you don't mind. I want to ask you, what do you think Ventana can offer our clients? What makes us stand out as a production company?
With the way budgets are these days, a lot of producers are just looking to fit it in the budget, so they come to us. But my answer that probably won't make the cutting room floor, that will stay in the video, is our people. And you and I talked about this a little bit before we got started. I think Armando just has like a really good gut for hiring really good personalities. And that goes a long way. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of companies out there, they can all give you solid work, but I think we all go back like to our local store or our library or our, where you go to get your hair done or where I go to get my head done. It's because you like those people.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And,
that's what we were talking about before we recorded. I mean, I just hit my 2-year mark and I was like, I love the people. That's been a huge motivating factor for me, is that I get to be with amazing people, even virtually, every day.
One of my favorite sort of mottos about the working life is that if you don't mind getting out of bed 5 days a week or 6 days a week and showing up at a place, if you don't mind that, or if you actually some days can't wait to see those people that you show up with every day, then you're in the right place. If I'm happy to get up and see you people every day, I'm in the right place, man. I'll let the rest of it work itself out. You know?
I love that. I think that's, what's funny is a lot of these other interviews, especially with Tim and Chandler, they both have said that the people have been really profound factors of why clients should work with us, not just from the professionalism side, but because of the personalities. Because the reality is you're with these people on a set for 12 hours a day. And I have worked on some really terrible sets, and I've worked on some amazing ones. And a lot of the amazing ones have been with Ventana because the people there, they make a difference.
You spend 8 to 12 hours a day with, Jackie and Rich and Juan and Tony and Mark, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a lot of time. So you better enjoy showing up to hang out with those people 5 days a week.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you, I think, are a great testament to the personality side here, because you've been at the company, 12 years?
I've been at this company 12 years.
Our average tenure is over 10 years for people that want to be here every day. That's really impressive, especially in this day and age where it's hard to get people to stay in a role for over a year.
Yeah.
But to take us down our final little bonus question here, Charlie, what's one piece of media, like a TV show, film, even a book, that has inspired you as a creative?
Okay, so this is an extremely coincidental question, because I don't think I realized this until I had been in the industry a few years and we had started doing, I'm not sure if you ever heard of those 48-hour film festivals where you have to write, shoot, edit, and deliver a short film in one
in 48
weekend.
hours. Yeah.
So I've done a few of those.
Can you see it?
I think I see it.
Reality TV.
I think one of the reasons I got into this is because I love short film and sketch comedy.
Really?
And I'm not sure if you're familiar with, I'm sure you're familiar with The Lonely Island, but there's a very similar group who does a lot of the SNL digital shorts now called Please Don't Destroy. And it's these three guys, and they're very similar to The Lonely Island. They kind of do the same type of thing. But I was cruising through the channels either Sunday or Monday night of this week, and I saw that they had a movie. They made a movie.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so immediately I start watching it, and I'm loving it. And I'm thinking, man, you get lost in the everyday and making money. You just get lost in making money, and you lose touch with that young artist from 20 years ago
Yeah,
who wanted to do that type of thing. And I was like, man, these guys are like 25, 30 years old, and they're doing it, and they're doing it on a big stage because they kept doing it. So just I think it was Monday night, I was kind of re-inspired.
And, I love that.
Yeah. And I was talking to Chandler this morning, and he was like, man, we need to start focusing on some side projects where we just do some 3 or 4 minute shorts,
Making something that's even just for you.
Exactly.
It's so fulfilling.
Yeah.
It gives you like something that, like you said, it fulfills that like desire that your inner artist child has.
Right. And you know what I don't know if it's true, but what I imagine guys like they do it to make themselves laugh. And if they stay really true to what they think is funny, and then they put it out there and they find out there's a million yous out there. Excuse me, I'm in a Kylie interview. Charlie. It's Rich Joy.
Oh my gosh.
Let's
Hi,
bring Rich Joy into the
a surprise cameo appearance by the one and the only Rich Joy.
Yeah. Hello, Kylie. How you doing?
Hi. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. No complaints. No complaints at all. Just
you gotta get your face on. If you're gonna do this, you gotta
just
make
a
your
pocket full of
cameo
joy over
appearance
here.
by Rich Joy, everyone.
One of the top 10 personality hires at Ventana Productions, for sure.
There you go. There you go. Well, see, Charlie is the man behind all the magic that happens inside this little box called the computer. So I'm bringing him things.
See?
Oh,
this
little
is
treasures.
Camera footage
this is editing
happening
earlier. In real time.
In real time.
We'll check that out.
Nice cameo appearance in there for sure.
Yeah.
That piece that you're describing sounds wonderful, and it sounds like it's really reawakened something in you. So I look forward to seeing what the Ventana team is making in their off hours now. Thank you everyone for joining us for the final installment of Behind the Screens, The Crew Chronicles. And thank you, Charlie, for being our guest today.
Hey, thanks for having me. It was a lot more fun than I had expected it to be because I'm such a pessimist.
That has been the general feedback. So everyone make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for whatever Ventana has next. All right, bye everyone.
Like and subscribe.